and welcome. I'm John and this is Unique Wargaming Terrain. Guys, welcome back. This week I'm going to be talking about the main materials that I use on the channel, and we're going to pit two materials that I use against each other to see which one's the better one. So see you in a second, guys. So if you're new here, sit back, enjoy, sit back and watch and enjoy, because this is all the terrain I build is nice and easy, and I try and do it in a way that is cheap so anyone can afford to do it. So if you're on a limited means, what that means is if you don't have much to spend on materials or spend on stuff, this is the place to be, because I will try and save as much money as possible and show you ways of saving money and making nice, easy terrain. If you're a regular here, guys, I feel love, thank you very much. So on this channel, I use 4 materials mainly, okay? Expanding foam, which I love using, absolutely fantastic. Polystyrene, I absolutely love it. Okay, when I'm talking polystyrene, I'm talking boards, I'm talking, polystyrene shapes. EVA I started to use here and there. I haven't used it vastly because I haven't had the need to use it. I've used bits and pieces of it. And Kingspan, I was given a big shit Kingspan, and I started using that on the Insane Wizard's Tower, which I absolutely love doing that. So what I've decided this week is to put EVA foam and Kingspan, put them against each other to see which one works better, and give them, is this better for paint, is this better for cutting, is this better for shaping and modelling. So that's what I'm going to do this week. So guys, sit back, enjoy, and I'll see you in a minute. So what we're going to do, EVA foam, what I've got here is just brick sized chunks that I cut from a dynamo set out for outside, giant dynamos. Now for me, with a sharp blade you can cut these, okay? Now obviously all safety procedures with a sharp blade or with any blade, they weren't hard to cut, but you need to have a sharp blade. Now the Kingspan, okay, again I didn't cut it with the sharp blade, I cut it with the retractable sharp blade, okay. Now what's the difference, someone's gonna ask me. This is a proper heavy duty. I have been using this blade to cut bits of carpet up. I wouldn't use this to do that. Okay, that's the difference. Cutting wise, you have to use the right tool for the right job. So the heavy duty sharp blade for the EVA foam, okay. And you probably could use one of these blades, but you'd be there making cut upon cut upon cut until eventually it comes up, you've cut for it. With the Kingspan, just this type of sharp blade. So that's cutting. That's the first, I would say Kingspan wins that one because it's a lot easier to cut. You haven't got to have a specific, a specialist type blade. Texture in it now, before you even start gluing anything or doing anything like that. The EVA foam, if I'm making something like hills and rugged terrain, that would be the easiest thing to do because you just cut into it and rip bits off, okay. But texturing it for the likes of making ruins and walls and stuff, which we're doing today, it's nice and simple stuff, the EVA foam can be a bit of a pain. It's easy, but when I explain the Kingspan to you, then you'll go, oh, okay. With the Kingspan, okay, I just have strips, and then I get some tin foil rolled into a ball and just dab it along, and it gives you loads of little. You can't really see the indentations on it now because it's white, when I dry brush it, it really pops up. Now you can't really do that with UVA foam because it's a really weird, fantastic material. If I make a cut into that in the middle, it'll start to seal itself. Yeah, unless you prise it apart, it's great, but it's just, it won't take the tin foil. Okay, to the best of my knowledge, I've tried it and it doesn't really work for me. So what I'm going to do now is cut some mount board bases, and then I'm going to cut the bases. I'm going to go straight into hot gluing and just make the structures I want to do, and I'll come back to you at that point to, you know, have a look at things then. See you then, guys. So here we go. Just basic sample. There's the EVA piece. Now I've actually cut this on. There's always bits there. I've actually cut this onto a piece of foam board. Okay, so 3 strips of foam board lying there, and I thought, oh, let me choose those. So cutting, you know, weatherboard down and everything else. Now this is the EVA. Okay, I hot glued everything together. So when you're using hot glue, make sure you have a ventilated area. Make sure wash your fingers for, you know, put a mask on and all that business. Now, one difference between this and the Kingspan straight away. Okay, let me show you Kingspan one first of all. Okay, this one's a bit hard to see because it's white. It's a little bit dangling down there, got a wisp of it. Now, when I'm putting these down, if I needed a brick size for this one, that was the brick I had was too big, I just snap at my fingers and to the bit I want. But with this you can't. Okay, so that's the first difference. I mean, I love both materials, but it's one first difference. This one's easier to, if I need a piece that's too, what I've got is too big, I can snap it in my hands. This one I need to get a blade to it. I did a bonus piece as well, because I cut all his bricks for the Insane Wizards build and all that, and then actually was shown you can actually use ballpoint pen. So I did a stone wall there with a ballpoint pen. Okay, all I've done was draw the bricks on. Now I drew the bricks on, and then I went in again across the whole thing and went in a little bit deeper. So hopefully when it's undercoated and dry brushed and everything, it's going to really just still pop as much as the others will. So I'm going to crack on with that. Need to some filler on there and get this piece to it. I'm crack on with that. Back with you in a second, guys. 2 things before I forget. Someone's going to say, how do I cut bricks? I presume people know, but make sure that some new people, excuse me, some new people may not know, and I need to let them know. Okay, so this is foam board, but let's just pretend this is EVA or your Kingspan or your XPS. Okay, what you do is you cut into strips. Okay, then what you're left with is something. This is actually Foamex, so this is different material all together, but you're left with something like this. It could be a bit thicker, it could be, you know. And then what you do is you just literally just cut random. Use your eye. Don't measure it. Just cut it by eye all the way along. Okay, and then what you're left with is your bricks. Okay, obviously your desired material. So there's 2 different materials that I don't use to make bricks, but just to, rather than me cut a piece and show you, it's easier if I tell you. Now, when I store the bricks, as I store everything, I store them in jars. Yeah. When I'm using them, I have a takeaway container. Now you can buy a takeaway and keep the container and keep the container, or you can go to a pound shop and buy them. Okay, or a dollar store or something like that. It's just easier to pour them in and fill this up, and you take it straight from here. And when I'm finished, I can easily just dip them back in. I'll dip them back in. It's not an issue. So these are all fully mixed. Okay. Then a couple of 2 other sneaky ones. I've just got carried away because I thought instead of just testing it on the wall, on, you know, stone walls and stuff, let me just do something a little bit different as well. It's not, the other bits are not complex, it follows the same rules, but it's just a little bit different. Okay, when the filler mix on that, the filler is dry, I'm going to give them an underspray. Well, I have to seal them first. Seal the EVA foam first, because the EVA foam gets sealed differently to the Kingspan. So I'll get back to you when I'm on that stage. See you in a minute, guys. So that's where we're at now. This all filler mix is dried. So you see, it's looking nice. What I need to do now is prime and seal them. Now they both have different processes. The EVA foam, you have to use a heat gun, okay? And what happens is you'll see how this is all black in colour. It will go like a shiny, okay? That means you sealed it. Now, why would you do that? If you don't seal it, I'm not 100% sure, so someone tell me know, don't comment down and let me know, but from what I understand, if you don't seal it, when you're putting paint onto it, it's going to keep drinking the paint, continuously drinking it. So, if I'm wrong, check comment below and let me know, someone. Now, the Kingspan, I don't have to seal that with the heat gun, that would melt it. What I need to do is seal that with PVA and some paint. Now, my underspray that I use is water-based and it's PVA and paint inside of it. So when I spray it on, it takes me like 2 seconds to spray it on, 10 seconds to spray it on. And then afterwards, when it's dry, I can look and go, oh, I missed that bit there, I missed that bit there. That's when I can get a brush and a bit of paint, go, done. And then put base colours on it. Okay, this is the other one. Okay, now I wasn't going to put filler mix on there, but I said, you know what? There's no point me going half hogs. I might as well go the full way and just do them. So I'm not going to be able to seal these ones and film at the same time, because I need to get mask on. You know, it's ventilated enough here, but I need to get a mask on, put goggles on, okay, because of the fumes. You don't want to burn your eyes with the fumes and then you're burning yourself with the heat gun. So I'm able to film when I'm doing that, because I need 2 hands to, okay. So I'm going to seal this one, seal these guys, and I'll come back to you when they're ready, okay. See you soon, guys. So here we are. See these two? I wasn't going to show you these until the end. It's like a little sneaky, just something I just did. But I'm going to go with Painter's Grey into the plate. You can see that some of the burnt umber is still a little bit wet. So I'm going to get this wall painted grey and water it down on this one. This is the one that I drew the bricks into. So I'm going to water it down so it goes into all little cracks and crevices. Now, Painter's Grey is a grey that goes on really. Can I pick that up? Can you see that there? How shiny that is? Just you see, it's, I don't know, pick it up too well in my own eye here, but it's really it goes on like a nice little grey. But as it starts to dry, it goes black, and then as soon as you put a lighter grey on top, it just really pops and looks really nice. I think with this one, I don't know if I actually have gone deep enough into the foam to give you the effect of the bricks. I'll soon find out when it comes to dry brushing. One done. This is normal foam bricks. This is the EVA. Right. I'm not going to show you the big ones being done. So they're going to be a surprise at the end, just teasing you a little bit. But these bigger ones are done with the same idea as doing the bricks. Just literally, when you see it, you'll go, okay, yeah. So if you can do the bricks, whichever way you want to do it, with the EVA, with the Kingspan / XPS, or if you want to draw, you know, the bricks on the XPS. The only thing with the ones I've done, I don't think I've done deep enough, but we'll soon see. Alright guys, I'll see you in a second. Right. So I'm going to get some Screaming Skull. You don't need to use Screaming Skull, you can use an ivory colour or, you know, anything like that. Handle the brush in wet paint and take some out the lid, whack on some newspaper. Minimum on the brush as possible. Okay, I'm going to start with this one. I don't know if the paint looks still a bit wet, but go for it. Got a little dry brush. This is the foam bricks. Now, the Screaming Skull in particular is actually a layer paint. I always say this, and some people are hearing it, because it's a layer paint, for those of you that are new, it goes on really bright. As it dulls down, as it dries, it goes really dull. Okay, just one quick dry brush. Right, now onto the EVA. There's actually some nice texture on here. So I just realised I didn't tell you the score so far. So for cutting wise, the Kingspan, the foam, you know, XPF foam is actually a lot easier. You know, you can cut the EVA foam, it's not a problem. For sealing it now, the EVA foam is a hell of a lot easier because it's just a heat gun and it's done. Then you undercoat the whole thing and it's nice and easy. But you know, your Kingspan, you still can still have to undercoat it and everything else, and if you do it right, you can see it at the same time. And there is a little sneaky way, like with the underspray and stuff like that, but I just found it a lot easier with the EVA foam. Nice and easy. Now let's go for this bad boy. This is the one that I cut in. Start on these big boys first. Still a few bits of wet on there. Yeah, I don't think I cut in too well. I don't think I cut in well enough, should I say, on the bricks. The paint's still a little bit wet. I don't know. It's looking good. It's looking okay. It's actually come out better than I thought it would. And I'm looking at this side, and I don't. What I can see on the, oh, I don't really see, but I can see on the camp screen here. It looks pretty good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to finish off these two, and I'm going to do the bases, and I'll come back to you at the end. See you soon, guys. Right, so they're done. Let the fancy camera stop. I'm going to show you some pictures afterwards, as always. I'm not putting any models on it, and because it's still a little wet, and I haven't flocked yet. But I'll point out where I would flock it. Okay. In my opinion, which one's better? I love them both. I do. The Kingspan, you can really sculpt and mould it into pretty much any shape you want. Okay, from bricks to vases to, you know, anything, columns, anything you want. The EVA, you can pretty much do the same thing as well, because they make cosplay outfits out of the EVA foam. Okay, so you can pretty much mould it and shape it any way you want as well. And it's for me, the EVA is a lot more rigid, you know, than the foam. But with that, if you saw the Insane Wizards build, you'll know that I made the spikes out of the foam, the Kingspan foam, perfectly fine. The only thing I should have done there is pinned them in, but that's not a big issue. Now, I'm very happy with like this. Okay. Now, for me personally, with this piece, I would probably leave it to fully dry. Okay, because when I start dry brushing, there's still bits of it that were wet, I didn't realise. And then when it's fully dry, I'll probably get another dry brush with a Screaming Skull. Then I'd probably give it like, I say a black wash, but you could easily give it a Frozen Camo shade, just to get into the nitty gritty bits. And then maybe give a little edge highlight with Scar White, the layer paint, because it just bring the edges up but dull itself down as well. Now this is the foam brick one. Yeah, that's nice. I like that. Again, I think I was a bit too hasty with the dry brushing, but learn from your mistakes. This is the EVA one. Okay, just as nice. But for me, compare the two. Okay, the back ends of both of them. The EVA one looks more like slabs of like granite and, you know, that sort of. This looks like more like stone. Turn around so you can see it. Trying to give them equal light so you can see both equally. Okay. Now I'm going to go down to pretty pictures. But point out where I would flock it, you know, if it comes to it. So guys, if you enjoyed this video, this should be hopefully the first of many this week. Please like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications, and I'll see you soon. Take it easy, guys. Right, here we go. That is the foam wall. Here is the EVA wall. Here's this one. Yeah. Now here's these bad boys. Okay. So this is for foam bricks. So again, just made an L shape and a little pile in the middle. Now with this pile in the middle, I'm going to probably put PVA glue in the gaps and then just sprinkle flock on it. The reason I haven't done that yet is this is still wet. So if I start sprinkling flock, it's going to go, it doesn't go where I want it to. I'm not going to be able to tip it and get it off. It's going to be stuck there. Okay, so I'd rather wait till it's dry to do that. This is Eva Bricks. Okay, same thing again. Sorry, the light's going weird. Same thing again. Just cut 2 bits of weatherboard. I'll glue them on. Okay, nice. And these make nice ruins. Games of, you know, D&D, Warhammer 40,000. You know, AOS. You could even use them in Kill Team, Necromunda. You know, Frostgrave. Any other sort of role-playing tabletop game you can use these in. You know, you could even use these in Star Wars Legion. Absolutely fantastic. Anyway, guys, until next week, take it easy.